Okay, so anyway, Brad Hoppe to address us in terms of how they go about planning the garden areas in the city. And offering some ideas maybe that we could take and bring on home with us. So Brad, turning it over to you.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here. Wow, I've given talks to many master gardener groups before, and this is by far the largest one I've seen. So kudos to you. Is everybody here in the master gardener program? Do we have anybody that's just outside from the community, just wanting to see? Wow, that's amazing. So I'll start by thanking everybody. Larry, thanks for inviting me. Sharon Ashworth, is she still in here? Oh, hi. Thanks for letting us use your facility and for the invite as well. She's the horticulture agent. Everybody sure knows. And then all of you, master gardeners, for taking the information provided by the K-State Research Extension and from K-State and disseminating it to the public. So you, of course, make Sharon's job much easier, and my job as well. So thank you. About me, I am with the city for 11.5 years. I'm a horticulturist. I studied landscape design in school at K-State many moons ago, and I've been involved in maintenance, residential and commercial landscape design, landscape installation maintenance, and I was a adjunct professor of horticulture at Johnson County Community College. And I worked in the KSU Department of Agronomy's Soil Testing Laboratory. Yes. Maybe I should be standing back here in front of the camera. Oh, there we go. I like to see my board and watch you guys too. So, as I said, I studied horticulture at K-State, and then I went back and also got an adult education master's because I knew this day would come when my body wouldn't be able to support the hard work as a horticulturist. Even though I love it, it's coming to an end. I blew out my knee last year, and so I'll be retiring shortly and hopefully becoming an extension agent somewhere in Kansas. So I'm a member of the American Society for Horticultural Science. I'm a certified professional horticulturist. I'm a member of the Kansas Arborist Association as a certified arborist, and a commercial pesticide applicator through the Department of Agriculture, 3A ornamental and 3B turf. Okay. What we'll talk about today is the City of Lawrence landscapes, specifically landscape design, maintenance and other considerations, and design processes. In landscape design, we'll break that down into definitions. What is it? Principles of landscape design that I've put on the board, and some specialty gardens in general and specifically around the city. And as far as maintenance, we break that down into environmental considerations, site considerations, budget and commitment to maintenance, and then the right plant and right place, which coincidentally, that topic right there, right plant, right place. I'm going to test out my little pointer here. The middle one.
Red button.
Should be the red button. Oh, the red.
No.
Oh, there it is. Right plant, right place. Whoa. Someone just coughed into my mouth.
Oh, muted, folks. This is someone on Zoom.
Oh, someone on Zoom. Oh, okay. Coincidentally, I gave a whole lecture to another maintenance or another extension audience just on right plant, right place. So any of these things, we can really stretch it out. But I'll give you guys the condensed version. Finally, in the design process, we go through pre-design. We ask questions about specific things we want out of the design. Site analysis, we look at the actual site and various things that might interact with our design. We move on to the conceptual design, which is kind of a bubble diagram of where we think we want things to go. And that's where we do most of our moving around and trying different concepts. And then we move on to final design if needed. And then I'll ask questions and have some resources for you as far as where I find my plants. Okay, who here has done landscape design formally or informally? Okay, that was about 25% of the room. I beg to say, who has planted anything in their garden? Okay, you're all landscape designers. Congratulations. It's as formal or informal as we want it to be. We make judgments about where our plants go, and I've noticed master gardeners are extremely good at this without doing any of this process by just saying, I think this plant needs to go here. And they do that a lot. This goes here, this goes here, this goes here, because I can't leave things alone. That's a good thing. Using many of these design concepts subconsciously or maybe consciously, they decide that a plant needs to be moved or can be moved or divided or buy new plants or however, whatever the case may be. The bonus of having a site plan or a complete landscape design is it gives us a big picture as to where certain things can go and the whole scheme of things. It gives us kind of a broad picture. So that answers this question. Have you done it? Yes, I think you have. So what do you think of when I say landscape design?
Yeah.
You think of this? Yeah. Yeah. That's the Butch Art Gardens in Victoria, British Columbia. That's a beautiful garden for anybody who's been there, or bucket list, I'm sure, for maybe a few of you. I have been there. It is beautiful. Maybe you think of just your garden, maybe your backyard. Cool. What I think of a few things, maybe a nursery, maybe getting my hands dirty. Whoops. Still figuring out my pointer. Maybe lots of money. Maybe ouch, you know, oh, that hurts my knees. That hurts, in my case, my back and my knees. What is your definition? Can I move this video cursor out of the way? This video feed? Move it down here.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Move it down here a little bit so you can read my writing. Okay, what's your definition? Does anybody have a definition of landscape design? Personal preference. That's a good point. Yeah, it's your personal preference. What goes where is your personal choice. It's some other things. I'd say any designed landscape is any planted area with thought given for a desired outcome using the principles and elements of landscape design. Again, right here. That's a pretty simple definition, and I think you all are probably doing that when you move your plants around, even if you don't draw it all out. And you don't have to draw it all out to be designing. A textbook definition. Oh gosh, I got to move this again.
Right at the bottom right.
Bottom right. Yeah, let's try that.
Hey.
Just minimize it.
Audience won't have your picture.
Yeah, then you won't have my picture. We'll try it down here first.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So a textbook definition would be landscape design is a multidisciplinary art that implicates the careful planning, arrangement, and manipulation of natural and built elements in outdoor spaces. It goes beyond merely planting flowers or arranging furniture. It encompasses the thoughtful integration of plants, hardscapes, water features, lighting, and other elements to create functional, aesthetically pleasing, and sustainable outdoor environments. Boy, that was a mouthful. It is all those things if you want it to be. It can be, and I guess that's a good definition. But remember, it doesn't have to be. It's your choice. It's your yard. It's your landscape. This kind of goes to the professional landscapers. And if I'm working for a client, I'm looking to achieve this. And if you're looking for a whole on-site plan landscape, this would certainly apply to you as well. So what are the characteristics of a pleasant landscape design? This is at the UP Depot, just a snapshot of one of the flower beds. There's many ways to achieve it, and it involves the thoughtful blend of design elements. It harmonizes aesthetics or looking good with functionality. It serves a purpose, right? So at the Union Depot in North Lawrence, I've got some, I tried to label as many, I kind of ran out of time, and but I tried to label a lot. Down here, we have the ornamental pepper, that's chili, and then we have a firecracker plant, or cupia firecracker. And then we've got some Rudbeckia cappuccino, which is really cool. Other characteristics of a pleasant landscape design, I won't say good or bad because that's all relative, right? It serves a purpose. It's not only aesthetic, but it can serve a purpose. This is a good example of landscape design that serves a purpose. It's architectural. It serves as a border. It serves as a screen, and it protects from sun, wind, and water. I was hired right when the library was built, and I was tasked with designing the reading garden and the pollinator garden next door at the Vermont parking garage. And in this case, I worked with my boss's boss, the donors, public donors, the landscape architects, the architects, the library council, and on and on and on. I redrew this 15 times-ish and rechanged it. So if it was on the computer, that would have been much easier because I did one of these full-on presentations several times, and it took forever. But we ended up with a compromise that everybody was happy with, and I was pretty pleased with it myself. So as far as the purposes, architectural, let's see, it matches the line of the building, and the architect was pretty adamant that we have strong linear plant material. Border, you see some seating areas in here. There's screens of plant material all around those to create nooks. Another seating area here. Also some shade and some border plants. And it provides a screen from the whole thing from the outside. And we'll look at that in these pictures here. This is as planted back when it opened. It's missing some. Yeah, let's do that.
Nice.
Missing some plants in here. So we have some knockout roses and some sedum that went in there. But that's, you can see very clearly the design elements in this first planted picture. And then we go to the fully planted mature landscape. You can see how it screens and it invites in and then borders and protects from sun, wind, and water. Other characteristics of a pleasant landscape design would be multi-seasonal interest. Here at the Lawrence Public Library Reading Garden, we have tulips and pansies. These are the Keys Nellis and, whoops. These are the Keys Nellis and these are the Flare. And the pansies below the library sign are the Amber Mix. I thought they went well with the oranges sculpture in the back. I love that sculpture. Now we have a brick doghouse, I believe. And the seasonal interest doesn't have to be limited to plant material. It can be the sign itself, the flowering, or I should say annuals and perennials and bulbs. We have flowering trees in the background. We have sculpture. And if you can see, right down here, we used to have these butterflies on a concrete base until somebody broke them off and damage them beyond repair. But anyways, many ways to achieve seasonal interest. More multi-seasonal interest at 6th and Mass. These are tulips and daffodils, the exception daffodils. I was thinking, if you can see, that the exception at daffodils would be a little taller than my exception daffodils. You can kind of see I did that backwards, and that kind of happens sometimes. And that's all right, because they bloomed first and they were kind of on their way out when these guys came up, or vice versa. No, that was right. Yeah. Anyway, some more winter interest with the statue here. That's kind of fun to play with, landscape wise. More multi-season interest at 23rd and Mass. I have chrysanthemum, conical yellow, plumberry purple, and avalon pink. And you can see we try to leave the summer annuals in as long as we can. So we still have interest behind there. It's just when these early blooming mums start showing color, we got to get them in the ground. And by the way, if you guys have any questions while I'm going along, please do interrupt. Yes.
I wondered why, I mean, I understand the need for annuals in terms of some bright color at times. But I also find that annuals tend to be expensive because they're only good for a year. So can you explain why you do annuals or what proportion you have of perennials and annuals?
Sure. Great question. We have been moving to more perennials. And we have been using a lot of our own perennials. So we'll divide things and move them to different areas. We've been doing a lot of that since we started reducing our budget several years ago. I made an overall plan specifically in my largest major park, which is South Park, on how to fill up some of our annual beds with perennials instead. And if you notice on the south end, some of those areas aren't filled all the way to the brim. South Park, the Sunken Garden, that's one of our feature landscapes. And so we're always going to put, I think, annuals there and bulbs. That's where we have focused all of the South Park bulbs is to the Sunken Garden or the gazebo landscape, the formal garden there. So we have done those two things. Why we still keep annuals is they have a very impactful color throughout the season, whereas perennials bloom for a short while and then have to rejuvenate themselves through just the leaves. So we don't get quite the impact. So we try to use those in high impact areas, City Hall, South Park, across the street at Admin. This is probably the last year we'll do anything at 23rd and Mass. If you notice, the other side of that is all perennials now and shrubs. So that used to be a long sprawling landscape. This side, or the east side with the sculpture, is just reduced now, just down to maybe a quarter of what it was. Yes. No, we don't have the time or the resources. Yeah, good question.
On the bulbs, we dig them up and then you save them and replant them?
No. We treat them like annuals, yes, because they're in heavily irrigated areas because of our annuals, and they just kind of turn to mush. They're not worth saving. We have areas that we naturalize bulbs in parks that aren't irrigated. We just leave them, and then when they're done, we cut off the flowers but leave the leaves for them to rejuvenate for next year. And we do that in quite a few parks that we don't have such intense irrigation. Great questions. Anyone else?
What determines when you use Brad and when you use flowers?
We limit our flower beds pretty much to focal points in the landscape, and I'll get to those in a minute. But entrances or the fronts of buildings, in parks, it would be next to a sculpture. So we generally don't put a flower bed out in the middle of a park because no one will see it, right? We'll put them right on Mass where people driving through downtown. That's where most of my beds are, with the exception of the formal garden, which is just off. So people can see the tulips driving by. like 2,500 tulips this year, this next year. So it's quite a show. Great questions. Keep them coming. I'm going to continue on. Some characteristics of an unpleasant landscape. Well, they lack basic design elements without trying to pick on anybody here. Aesthetics and or functionality. And whoop, keep on getting my buttons mixed up. So in this one here, you see some damage, wrong plant, wrong place. There's not much repetition. There's not much, we like to group plants, similar plants together. There's way too much going on with color and form and texture. Those can all be complementary things, unify a space, but in here it just doesn't look right, in my opinion. We've got two different ground cover materials here. We have on the one on the right, we have almost unusable space because of these odd oblique angles here. And it looks confining and confusing. It just doesn't lend itself to a nice flowing landscape. And there's many examples. I just pulled a few off the interwebs. These here, this one could be, if just at first glance, well, what's wrong with that one? Well, these are out of scale, right? You've got these, they're pulled off the edge a little bit, so they're not really anchored. We've got a mishmash of plants and plant sizes. We've got open areas. We've got a random rock up here. And then we don't really have a focal point or any cohesion. Here we have kind of a shotgun approach with the hyacinth, and then some shotgun small plants. And this goes also to scale, which we'll talk about shortly. So now we get to the principles of landscape design. And those principles are just elements used to achieve good design. We can use them together with each other. They can be used with color, like for example, I can use color to achieve rhythm, or I can use line to create balance, if that makes sense. Okay, and we'll cover that a little bit more as we go on. So balance we'll start with. It's a state of equilibrium, equality in weight, value, or importance. So balance means the landscape just looks and feels right. It's natural. It's not chaotic, unlike that poor landscape earlier. We have three different kinds. One is symmetrical. On the top, it's just a mirror. Asymmetrical, which is balanced, but you have a heavy element on one side and several smaller objects that do balance each other in the background. And then also we have asymmetrical balanced, that's down here, which are not necessarily bad. They tend to direct one's eye, they direct movement, or create a mood. Maybe it's an oppressive mood or an open mood if you're out on the other end. So balance is important. I'll show you an example of a few.
You can advance your slides with the arrows if that'll be easier. On the keyboard.
Oh, yeah, it does. It's not working. I'm gonna do, oh, must have. Oops. Technical difficulties.
Here, let me try. I'm gonna go ahead and try to fix this.
Sharon, you gotta click
Yep,
on the
yep.
power.
I'm just trying to find the mouse.
There we go. Now I can get this unstuck.
Click on the power.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. So next, thank you. Balance is, again, the consistency and visual weight of elements in the garden, creating stability and harmony. And it's more than just size. Like I said, color can affect the weight. So dark colors are heavier than light colors. Light or thin branching is lighter than dense branching. So consider that. So to balance out, say, the center one, how can we balance out those trees? Put another one there. Put another one on the left, right? That would balance it out, or some smaller thick shrubs. So massing plants over here creates balance through order. These are in some of the poor examples. They're all separate. They're not touching. Order is achieved by plant massing. Okay, and that creates balance as well. This is my admin landscape, and this is pretty much how I do all my annual landscapes. I have a bed shape that I saved from last year that's been measured out already, and I have several blank copies of that. And then I'll get into some bubble diagrams. What kind of a shape do I want this year? And then I'll think about what kind of form I want. In this case, probably a little taller and towards the center and a little smaller towards the front because it's viewed from all sides. Some plant material here. This is this year's. I'm using lantana, salvia, coleus, sun patience. I'm real happy with the sun patience this year. Portulaca, salvia, rudbeckia, panacetum, and begonia. My double up begonias all died. I'm not sure what happened if they had a. So I've got a hole here and here this year. If you drive by the admin and across the street, it's really apparent at the crosswalk sign. I repeated most of these plants down mass, so that gives me some unity of color and form and plant material. But if you look at the crosswalk bed, there's a little U-shaped empty hole. That's where my begonia used to be. So I can admit my mistakes. We try things and sometimes they don't work. There is the balance in landscape at the admin landscape. This is another bed on Mass. Call it the courthouse bed because it's right by the courthouse. Pretty easy to remember. This is an asymmetrical, unbalanced landscape. So you see it's bigger here. The sculpture kind of ties everything together and it gets lower down, down, down. It's asymmetrical, but it works because we want our focus to be on the main feature of the landscape, and that's this sculpture, which changes every few years. It's not that anymore, I don't believe. This is asymmetrical balance. This is also in South Park. It's to the east of the gazebo. We call this the Rice's bed. There's a little plaque right here that says "To our friend Ed Rice." So I have sun patience all the way down, and I've got those are about the same height. And we've got some other perennials, some coreopsis and some rudbeckia, some phlox, and some hydrangeas and hosta that are roughly the same height. That's asymmetrical balanced. Next, we'll talk about rhythm, and that's a pattern repetition of elements in the landscape and how it can create a sense of unity and flow. So by incorporating a consistent flow and repetition of forms, colors, and textures, designers can harmonize the overall composition. So you see that we have the same plant material here, 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 and here. That creates a sense of rhythm. It doesn't have to be linear in a straight line. It can be like this example, and it could be several groupings. But we want to remember that we don't leave the groupings as individual plants or they look kind of out of place. Odd numbers are always better for whatever reason. It's more pleasing to the eye. So 3s, 5s, 7s, etc. Lawrence City Landscape, rhythm in Lawrence City Landscape. This is the UP Depot. We have the Taylor junipers and the spring snow crabs here that create a real sense of rhythm. As well as many other things in the landscape. These are Weigelia or nine bark, I can't remember which. Here's Rhythm and the South Park Sunken Gardens. That's this year. And again, here's my design. I got lazy and I just do half of it because it's mirrored. I guess I could do just a quarter of it because multiply it times 4, but so I can give this plan to seasonal and it fits on an 8.5 by 11 and say, go plant this. And they can do that. So we have many aspects of landscape design that are featured here, but here we'll talk about rhythm. So we have a repetition of color here, and form in the mounding of all of the landscape, and then these mirrored, and then everything kind of mirrored. It lends itself to repetition and rhythm. So next we'll move to specialty gardens, and those are any designed landscape dedicated to growing a specific type of plant or designed to recreate a particular environment, theme, or style. And those include things like a cottage style in informal garden. Those are fun to do, and those require more thought than I thought possible when I started this. I can't do it very well. My coworker, Justin, who used to design the downtown landscape beds, he would throw all these different plants in. It would drive me nuts because I have a landscape architecture background and I do things linearly and in perfect rows and he could do it great. I just can't. So rain gardens, whoops. Go back. There we go. Rain gardens are gardens that interrupt the water flow or in wet spots to mitigate standing water, and by the use of plants prevent runoff. So you can see in this neighborhood, several rain beds were created here, and here. And it looks terrific, and it's serving a great purpose because otherwise the water would be just rushing right through there. And these trees along here would also benefit too for the water to hang out for a little while on these slopes. So lots of benefits. Xeriscape garden, I'm sure you've heard of these. They're low water. There's no water landscape. It's a low water, less water intensive landscape design. And it's not just cactuses and yuccas. I want to make that point. Here, it's mostly perennials, natives. If you go to the Prairie Park Nature Center, that's basically a xeriscape garden. We also have sensory gardens. Those obviously invoke the senses. They're good for like children or people with disabilities to enjoy gardening in other ways. Other specialty gardens, we have the formal garden at the UP Depot. This is the landscape plan by somebody, I can't read that. LA Associates, thank you. So that wasn't done by us. It was done before I got here, but here it is today. You can see these soldiers represent, or these junipers represented soldiers in World War I, standing in line going to the depot.
They had to worry about bad worms over there.
Oh, yes. Anytime we plant junipers, that's why I don't plant them anymore. Yes, yeah. Yeah, we do. If we didn't spray our junipers, they'd be gone. Yeah, and sometimes that's what I do. I just quit spraying them and then they eat them and got to get rid of them. Trying to rid Lawrence. So in the 90s, we planted a lot of things that we shouldn't have. We find out now, back kind of when I was starting. Bradford pears, Callery pears, euonymus ground cover, winter creeper, a lot of junipers, a lot of barberries, a lot of invasive plants. We didn't know about the ash problem that we were gonna have, so we planted a lot of ash. The problem isn't that there's so many of a certain type of tree, it's that they're dominant in a monoculture. You can drive into a subdivision in Kansas City and just see ash trees all the way through this thing, or just maple. Well, they can treat them. My sister's neighborhood is such a neighborhood, one section of it, and they got to treat them. But eventually, you keep treating them it's every 2 or 3 years. I think the injectable insecticide works. Kind of getting off topic, but we're talking about monoculture and design, so I guess I'll tie it in. It will girdle the plant eventually, like borers do. So it's not a long-term solution. So at the Monarch Way Station at the Vermont Street parking garage, we tried to create these pathways for monarchs. We did have much more milkweed for them at the beginning. We still plant milkweed. It just doesn't like as much irrigation as we put on it. So we almost have to treat it as an annual. The swamp milkweed loves it. That's about the only one. Everything else is like, you see it in the roadsides. You see the common milkweed and the butterfly milkweed growing in the prairie because it doesn't like as much rain as we're putting on the trees and shrubs and other things that we have to support with irrigation. There's a picture, and I won't steal Chip Taylor's thunder. I understand he's going to be one of your future speakers as the Monarch Way Station. That's his baby. But we do have several, and it is a specialty garden. There are certain requirements that you meet. We have a reading garden at the Lawrence Public Library. We've already talked about that. It's a specialty garden. We have the Monarch Way Station at the Kresge Solid Waste Facility. If anybody's been across the bridge and dropped off their paint or stuff, that's what this is. This was done, I did on AutoCAD. I'm an old school guy. I like doing things on the drafting board and with colored pencils, and but the boss wanted me to experiment with this CAD stuff, and so I did, and I didn't like it, so I went back. So, but you see, this ended up being a kind of a conceptual design, and I left it there because I didn't have to show this design to anybody. I just did my bubble diagram and then used the square footage from that and determine, and I'll get into this a little later, determine my plants per square foot by their mature size, and then plugged it in, and boom, that's how many plants we need. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So the Monarch Way Station at the Kresge building had a lot of Nepeta in the front. It's got it's at the solid waste facility in North Lawrence. If you take
Hazardous waste.
sorry, hazardous waste. If you take Iowa north on Peterson Road. Okay, yeah. Hazardous waste. Thank you. We've got a pollinator garden at Constant Park. We redid the walls here and then planted with pollinator. Let's see what we have there. We've got rutabaga, echinacea, agastache, Shasta daisy, tick seed, stonecrop, catmint, all sorts of good stuff for the pollinators. And this is again, not all of the plants drawn out, but just kind of a bubble diagram. Yes, ma'am.
Going back a slide.
Sure.
To show us that, the new wall,
Yes,
really beautiful.
thank you. This was done by Keith Middlemass. Many of you might know him. Oh,
It's wonderful.
okay.
There.
I'm not gonna touch it. So he did this great wall, and I used that in my design, his use of the big boulders. And that's right now across from Buford Watson Train Park. And we have a place to sit for people, and creates repetition, right? It creates unity through repetition. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
Somebody would like, if you could expand on the Oasis garden concept and Centennial.
Okay. Sure. You're welcome. So I'll expand on that briefly because I don't have that in any of my slides. Because I don't use it much. As I mentioned, we are limiting our landscaping to where it'll be appreciated the most. Out where the cars are and where the entrances to the parks and to the important focal points. In this case, it is a focal point of the gazebo. And Centennial Park, if any of you are aware of the Oasis Garden or Island Garden, that is all shrubs and perennials. I think annuals used to be planted there, but we don't anymore. And so we mounded up the soil and created an island bed using the principles that we'll talk about, that we are talking about. And it's an island kind of to itself, you know, they mow around it and we have a mulched bed. It's raised up, so it looks natural. It's fairly easy to do using our design principles, just like the bed in front of the admin that I spoke about. You know, the tall plants can go in the middle, or they can go on one side as long as they're balanced on the other side. Use these design concepts, and you can put a bed pretty much anywhere. We just don't do that a lot anymore. Good question. Thank you. This is a pollinator garden at the Stratford Water Tower Park. And I just want to show you a simple design that I just did. They're redoing the water tower up there at the Water Tower Park up near campus. And the neighborhood association wanted a pollinator garden, something to screen and attract pollinators. So I did this for them. It hasn't been put in the ground yet, so I can't show you after picture. The native garden at the Prairie Park Nature Center, we take care of that. It is right outside of the Nature Center building. This is the building here and the overhang. And so just all kinds of native plants. Waiting on a picture. Is the PowerPoint going to be available afterwards? Okay, this is going to be available. I'm just going to keep going. We got a lot to cover here. See what time I got. Oh. Oh, I got 15 minutes left. Okay, I better get moving. So native garden, Prairie Park. Well, this is when we redid it. Lot of new plants. Some maintenance considerations we'll get to when we talk to that. So we've talked about the design principles of balance, rhythm, proportion, color, line, texture, and focal point or emphasis. What can you tell me about the design principles for this landscape at the North Lawrence sign? Anybody see any? Colorful. Okay, so we got color. The focal point is the sign, right?
It's rhythm,
The rhythm of plants and plant color and form.
it's texture.
Texture of the different leaves and also of the background plants versus the flowers, turf versus the flowers, small plants versus the large leafed plants. Very good.
Focal point.
Say again.
Focal.
Focal point. Yeah, we mentioned that. The sign is the focal point.
There's the balance of the trees at either side.
Balance, right? It looks pretty. Thank you. This is one of my favorite beds to play around with.
Complementary colors.
And yes, complementary colors, right? What design principles do you see employed here?
Both.
So I just wanted to show that we can have small landscapes and still employ the
It's balanced, the two sides near each other.
right. So it's symmetrically balanced, going from the front. From the side, it is asymmetrically balanced, and that's okay because we view it from the front.
Good use of space.
It's good use of space. We pack them in there.
Texture?
Texture, very good. We have some heavier textured things and some finer textured, some
Are all
very,
these beds that see throughout the city irrigated? Like
yes,
so-
all of my annual beds must be irrigated, yes. With the exception of the downtown planter beds. That's why you see people watering every other day. That's a huge investment. The downtown association helps us pay for that. That's why we still do it. Okay, how about the city hall landscape? That's this year and it turned out really nice. They expanded this bed and got a nice line out to here. Got some nice pansies, some nice where are those? Zinnias or, oh no, those are marigolds. Okay. Then these are gomphrena. You guys are familiar with those. And then salvia, and then back here we have some cleome. So maintenance considerations. We've got environmental, which includes sun, shade, soil, topography, whether it's irrigated or not. We look at the existing plant and the hardscape material. Maintenance considerations also include knowing how much time and energy and money you're willing to spend upkeeping this thing. If you build a great big formal garden, it's going to be a lot more maintenance than a low, like a grass garden, ornamental grass garden. And then we talk about right plant, right place. I'll burn through this pretty quick. You got to know your mature plant size. And this is one of the reasons we took over the street tree planting from the builders because they'd get a lot of however many trees and just stick them in the ground right in there and just not know how big they were going to get right underneath the utilities. I'm sure you've seen many examples of that. But also there's homeowners that just don't maintain their landscapes. This could have been maintained into a decent landscape, I think. So you have to keep up with it. Or else better to better keep up with it than to try to whack it back at once. Also with the right plant, right place, we all know about the USDA plant hardiness zone map. This up here is denotes the winter hardiness, and we're zone 6A in the new map. And down here, this is the American Horticultural Society plant heat zone map. So it tells us how hot things can take it here in the United States. So maintenance considerations, the city of Lawrence, here's our Prairie Park Nature Center. And what I do is I put down this water permeable weed mat on my pathways so I don't have to keep spraying them. So I don't like to spray in the native gardens. And then we mulch over it and you can't really see it. And then everything kind of grows together, and we'll cut things back so you can still walk through. So the design process, we'll touch on that briefly before I can get to questions here. We have the pre-design, site analysis, conceptual design, and final design. The pre-design is just asking questions. What are we trying to achieve? What's my budget? Will the design be planted in stages? What are some things that I want to include in my design? Make sure and get those questions all answered before you start. A site analysis is gathering relevant information. Yes.
I think the important consideration here, are you planning based on the present or are you planning based on the future?
Yes, that is certainly a consideration, and I put that here. You must note your existing plant material and whether or not you're going to take it out and put something else in there. Excellent point. We note the health of the existing plants. Is it worth saving? You know, if you move into a new place and you have trees that have been neglected or improper tree, Bradford pears, for example, or old crabs with canker, you just get rid of them, start something, they're a commodity, they're not a future, permanent fixture, right? They grow, then they die. So site analysis, we have environmental factors, sun, wind, water. We want to make note of our existing plant material we just talked about. We want to make a note of infrastructure. To get that, we can look at our plot plat that was given to us when we purchased the home, or go to the courthouse and get a new one. Or you can call 811 dig safe, and they'll come and mark out the utilities for you. Do that before you dig anyway. We also want to note any views that we don't care for, we want to block, or views that we do care for that we want to leave open, like it says right here. Any other influencing factors, anything that you think you need to make a note of? Water drains here. There's an existing, the neighbor likes to throw parties, let's block him here. There's noise from this street, let's block that. How much maintenance are you willing to keep up? Right. That's kind of in the pre-analysis, but this is all kind of graphic notes that you can ask yourself. Keep that with your pre-design analysis questions as you go to the next stage, which is the conceptual design. So I like to do it right on top of the site analysis, and you draw right on what you think you're going to put, where you think you're going to put it. Do many of them, see what fits. This one here has the vegetable garden moved here, and the planting bed moved there, and the cutting garden and everything else. Once you have your site analysis, you know what kind of fits in what area. So you can start these bubble diagrams, and then you can refine them. What I like to use is, just real quickly, it's tracing paper or trash paper. You can lay it right over a site analysis, and you can draw right over it. You can just draw a little bubble diagram. My coworker, Peyton Stitt, recently did a redesign of the North KTA triangles, the interchange from North Second to the interstate. And she first went out, I know you guys can't see this, but I'll hold it up anyway. She first went out and took some measurements, just real simple on a piece of notebook paper. This wasn't too fancy, it was just 2 little beds. She got a satellite image, right? And you're able to measure things off of that. We also double checked her measurements with the wheel. Then we on tracing paper, we completed a bed to scale. It's 1 inch equals 10 feet, I believe. And then we started making designs. We just laid it right over the top and made a design. Made another design. Put it over the top. Made another design. Which one do you like best? Oh, I like this one. So then we can draw the little plants in. And that's taking a scaled circle template. So 1/8 of an inch equals, or 1/10 of an inch equals a foot. Okay, 3/10 is equals 3 foot. I can say, okay, there's my such and such shrub, and make that many circles within my bubble diagram and have an accurate plant count. And that's all she did. She didn't do a final design. She just took this out there, went and bought the plants, and went out there and planted it. So the final design aren't needed. The conceptual design is where the magic kind of happens. Brings us to the conceptual design. The plan is refined, add your plant palette and determine mature size. To do that, we can go online, we can notice landscapes around you, or visit garden centers for inspiration for your plants. As I mentioned, you draw your individual plants to get a detailed plant list. You source and price your plants before you. Oops, sorry.
It followed you.
Oh, it follows me. And that, again, that might be all you need. Your final design, if needed and if wanted, You might want to keep it for later if you do multi-stages. And you're the artistic type, draw it out. Use different shapes to color or distinguish plant materials. If you're not an artist, you can still do it with these little templates. They have great computer programs now that help. Yes,
Tricky bit, I think, is hardscapes.
hardscapes are difficult unless you have experience with
Especially
that.
for small scale,
Yeah,
for us, you know,
What-
to drag the big boulders in
Sure.
and make the walls. and-
sure. And that's where contractors come in. What you can do is kind of bubble diagram, this is where I want, and this is what I'm thinking. Then you call a contractor and say, how much would it cost for this versus this? I want this wall, or I want this wall. This will cost $4,000. This will cost $10,000. That'll inform you as to your choices of how big of a structure you want. And then they can maybe draw it for you as part of your landscape package to give a better idea of scale.
One other thing that I'm interested in is sensory, and you had a sensory garden, but smells.
Yes.
Things that smell close to where you sit,
Mhm.
and also sound.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts about those?
They're great.
Yeah, but, you know, for example, waterfalls was wonderful to
Yes,
hear. but
yes.
I have a bamboo gate that I didn't know was gonna whistle every time the wind.
Oh, isn't that
blew.
funny?
No,
Yeah.
I have a storm in my
I
backyard.
have a truck rack on my Tacoma that does that. I didn't realize that. I made it instead of buying one and then. On the highway. No, sounds can be, you think of sounds and you think that they can be distracting or annoying. You want to get away in nature and be quiet, but waterfalls are very serene. The sounds of bamboo wind chimes, birds chirping, you have a bird feeder, all sorts of things. We could talk about that for hours, but unless you had a specific questions.
Just, you know, it's probably harder to put that kind of thing in a public space because of maybe theft.
No, we do. At the South Park Children's Garden or Playground next to the Butterfly Garden on the west side, we have bells that they ring. I hear them all the time. I'm landscaping on what is they have tactile things at Prairie Park. They have the kids go out and smell things and pluck the plants and identify things, and it's all very. You can use whatever you got to do whatever you like. Yes.
You mentioned sound, but it's trees that would block sound.
Yes.
Imagining, you know, like spruce or
Yes.
dense.
Yes.
Is that what?
Evergreen. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
evergreen.
Yeah. Or very thick branched trees like a linden, very oval shaped, and then shrubs, large shrubs underneath them. So a layered effect, like a wind. Think of a windbreak also breaks the sound.
How frequently do you find yourself, like, I'm thinking those triangles at North Second. I can only imagine the first thing the contractor did was come take away the topsoil
Mhm.
and then gave you clay and gravel.
That's another
How
great.
frequently do you have to say, you know what, we start with $10,000 worth of soil?
That's a great point. We do that. We do that. And we did that at the library and we did that at the, we do that for most new plantings because that's what happens. Fortunately, we own the land and we get a say in, you know, who was gonna take it off and who wasn't. A new job like the library, we specified that this soil is gonna be put back in, topsoil, and we paid for it. And it's really made a difference. It makes a huge difference. If you can't do that, you can amend the soil in the pots or in the garden if you can till the site. Yes?
Compared to some other cities, our entrances to the city.
Yeah.
It has attention when maybe.
Entrances to the city as far as which entrances? Oh. Yeah, I can't answer that question for you. I take care of what I can, what's a landscape bed already established. The powers that be determine things like that. Hello?
First of all, I want to compliment everything you guys do.
Thank you.
All of the gardens I've seen are beautiful. Second, how do you keep the petunias beautiful? We've got, I have 4 petunia plants and they're supposed to be the self-cleaning.
Yeah.
They are not self-cleaning.
Yes, yeah, they take a minute. If you're staring at them every day, they take a while to self-clean. They'll eventually drop out. From the road or from distance, some of them, while they're self-cleaning, don't look like they're self-cleaning.
But in the meantime, the flowers, it's still got a lot of buds that
Yes,
you really can't see.
right. So
Yeah,
you
you get
encourage
buds.
the new buds, and we do that not with nitrogen, but they're hogs. They are fertilizer hogs.
Okay.
We have a special petunia food that we use that has a higher potassium and phosphorus number than nitrogen. We fertilize our plants, our annuals, about twice a week during the growing season with a weak mixture of Peters 10-10-10 or something similar. Water soluble fertilizer just in the hose. Petunias, we can do as they're getting established, we can do a little bit more and a little bit heavier rate and or with the petunia food, which is maybe a 10-20-20 or something like that. I don't remember the exact composition, but it's higher in the middle and last number.
Is that available commercially?
Oh, yeah, yeah, just look for petunia food.
Does it have a name?
Petunia food. Water soluble petunia food. Ask any nurseryman, they'll know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to share a thought from the chat. Would like to see the city of Lawrence set more of a precedent in the community for ecologically informed landscape design. A communal shift toward progressive landscaping practices starts from what people see in the public spaces. Using straight species, non-cultivar natives, water efficient and biologically active selections wherever possible.
I would too. The problem with that, if there is a problem, I agree. Is what the speaker is talking, what the question is addressing is cultivated varieties versus what are called native R's or cultivated native plants versus just native plants. We're trying to provide the best looking landscape for the public. And we can't exclude, if you noticed, most of my slide design, a lot of my slide design, pollinator gardens, native gardens, monarch gardens, we are trying to get more and more informed and do better about that. But we can't escape the cultivated varieties at all, altogether. They look better. They just look better, and they're going to get more attention. They're going to grab, you get more bang for your buck. And it is what it is. We can do it downtown on the mid-block planters and some of the side planters. Instead of planting them all with cultivated annuals, we have put native perennials in there, and we are planting true natives in a lot of our landscapes. Annual plants are a different matter for sure. Great question. Great comment. Yes.
Any, like problems with critters like moles, voles, raccoons, rats?
Do I do anything about them? What I'd like to do and what I do are two different things, but we do have mole vole problems in a lot of our landscapes. And rabbits chew a lot of our, we have repellents for the rabbits, coyote urine, that kind of thing. You have to apply that consistently, and it just smells real bad and it doesn't work very well. You can try wiring your new plants until they get established, replanting. Voles and moles you can trap and release somewhere else. You can trap to kill. You can poison. Unfortunately, your choices for humane treatment is limited. See the garden. make a choice. Anyone else?
I haven't seen a whole lot of xeriscaping in
No,
Lawrence,
no,
particularly as you think about some of these little traffic islands and they try to put something in there
right.
and it just dies.
Mhm.
I would think that sedums and rocks would be a good solution for that, and I don't see it happen.
Right, and the reason for some of that is, I can show you. And we are trying to get away with, to get more towards that solution. This is the plan that goes through the planning committee. If you notice that on the 23rd corridor, just out here, there's median landscaping and there's landscaping on both sides of the street. That was all gonna be, really high water use, high fertilizer, high maintenance plants, and, my old boss said, no, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna put native grasses, native plants, and, she really put her foot down and that's what we got. And so thankfully, we can have a say in that, what goes in, but not all the time, not everywhere. So we do what we can. Where we can. And in our plantings, like I said, we are doing much more of that. Let's. Got 10:36, so we are winding down. Okay. Okay. Let's see, final design with the computer is much easier to change. Oh, I guess we're at the end anyways. We've discussed the city of Lawrence landscapes as they relate to design principles, specialty gardens, as well as design considerations and process. We've answered lots of questions. Here's some resources that'll be online for plants. And thank you. Yes. Yep. You're welcome.